Welcome to Open Arms, an honest conversation about firearms. Hey everyone, I'm your host Brian Lockburn, and welcome to another episode of an honest conversation about firearms. How's it going in there, Nikki?
Hey, it's gonna be a fun show.
I know we are
Yes.
we are still on Candidate Week, Nikki, and still learning all our candidates that are coming in. This is fun for us, isn't it?
It is fun because it's very personable. We get to meet all the candidates that are running, and it's been very exciting. It's very fun.
It has been. And today on my show, I have June Dubreuil on my show. Welcome to the show, June.
Hi, Brian.
How you doing?
Good.
Now, could you tell people what you are running for?
So I am running for the Ventura County Republican Central Committee.
Okay.
And it's a 22-member committee
Okay.
that is basically the county arm of the California State GOP.
Gotcha.
Okay. So basically it's the Republican Party's local county organization. And there's in my district, which is District 4,
Okay.
which includes Moore Park and Simi Valley, there are 6 seats available. And so normally in an election cycle, which comes about every 4 years for the Central Committee, there's never enough candidates to run for that office. And so if you just file with the county clerk and you're one of 6 folks, that want that position, and there's only 6, they won't have an election.
Oh, wow.
They will just automatically be appointed to the committee.
Okay.
And, if you're a candidate, let's say you're a Republican candidate and you're running for, it could be a local office like city council, it could be a school board race or state assembly or state senate or Congress. You're looking potentially for an endorsement, let's say, from the Republican Party because you want to let your base know that you're the legitimate candidate. So to get that endorsement, you have to go to the Ventura County Republican Central Committee and state your case to that committee. And if you're not, hopefully, if you're running unopposed in the party, you'll probably get an endorsement.
Interesting.
But if you're running, let's say, against another Republican, that committee is going to decide who they're going to endorse and who they're going to support.
Okay, so it sounds very, involved with all the stuff you have to do. How important is it that we get District 4 held by Republicans?
Well, I mean, for example, the Republican Central Committee is all Republicans.
Okay.
So it's not what we're doing right now, and why I chose to run is because I've been very involved in local races in the city of Moore Park and locally, and also in Simi Valley. My history is such that I started, believe it or not, on my local homeowners association board, and this is kind of not an unusual journey for some folks.
Yeah.
They don't like something that they see that's going on in their neighborhood, and they want it, or their association has got some wacky policy that, just doesn't sit well. And next thing you know, it's like, well, if you're complaining about it, why don't you come on the committee and get on the board, get on the HOA board and do something about it. So that was kind of my journey. I ended up on the homeowners association board. And then from there, we had an issue with the city. So then I went to the city, and the next thing you know, they were like the city manager, not the city manager, but some organization within the city said, you're not going to be able to do that. We're not going to approve that.
Yeah.
And to me, that's like waving a red flag. What do you mean? You can't, or I can't make that happen. Exactly. So before you know it, you start finding a city council person that will champion your whatever that thing is.
Exactly.
And the next thing you know, you're in this process of politics.
Yeah, and I'm learning more and more how important these little small branches and everything really are to everything.
Yeah.
Before like Nick and I started doing this podcast and everything like that, and bringing candidates on, it would just be we voted our basic we looked at our ballots, read about the people and everything like that. But now, Nikki, right, we're learning more and more every day.
Yeah, because we're going to the events and we're learning.
Yeah,
it's more personable. Like I said, we're actually learning what they're going to do and why they're running.
And how important all of these branches are to get people voted in. Now, just to ask you, what would you do if you're voted in? What are you going to change? What are you going to do for our county, our state, or our country?
Well, basically, I'm an America First patriot.
Beautiful.
When like I said, I've been around politics for a very long time. I was a speech and debater in high school.
Okay.
So I was the nerd carrying around the legal briefcases. And back then we didn't have the internet. So I had to read Time, U.S. News World Report,
Yeah.
All the different publications. And we would rip out the articles, have to read them, file them. So if I had to do an extemporaneous speech, I had to go to my folio and, find that article and then try to speak about it intelligently. So because I've been in this, I've had a passion for politics for a long time. I got involved in a lot of local races, and my passion is precincts, the local community. And as a real estate agent, which is part of my background, California is a very new in development, right? We're a new state. We don't, it's been developed mostly from the 60s forward. I grew up in Simi Valley. My parents bought their home I was born in 1967. I'm telling my age. Oh no. It's new in development.
Yeah.
So everything's on a track system. It's very easy to, what track you live in, what your neighborhood is. And so if we can just activate Republicans in their own neighborhood, getting to know their neighbors, getting to know the people around them.
There you go.
And it's grassroots. That's how you know what the base is thinking. And what I noticed is that, I am an America First patriot. When Trump came down the escalator, and I had friends asking me, who's your horse? Who's your horse in the race? And I said, well, he just came down the escalator. And they're like, Trump? And I said, absolutely. I said, I watched The Apprentice. And I said to myself, this is a man who's been able to be very successful in New York City, where it's, how do you say it? I think there's a level of corruption probably in any city.
Of course.
And it seemed like he was able to be successful in spite of it. Now, granted, at that time, we all knew him as a Democrat. But to hear his ideas on the campaign trail, which were so antithetical to how I was trained to think as a Republican, how I was trained, and I look back now, and because the things he would say, I would be like, wait a minute, that's not what the Republican Party believes in. That's different. And it really got me thinking about, that it isn't maybe about Democrats and Republicans. Maybe it's about policy, and maybe there is a level of corruption on both sides of the aisle. I have to tell you, when they gave me Mitt Romney as the nominee for president, we were just coming out of a mortgage prime, the subprime mortgage crisis. And this is the guy they gave us, a Wall Street Bain Capital vulture.
Yeah.
I thought to myself, this party doesn't represent me. It's clueless. And I actually got to a point where I wanted to stop voting. And I think a lot of Republicans felt the same way.
Yeah, it definitely did throw a lot of people, sideways. That's for sure. Okay, with that said, I just want to hit on something here. Second Amendment.
Yeah.
Supporter, correct?
Absolutely.
Okay. Have you ever been experienced with shooting guns, training, anything like that? You have.
I have. I have an interesting journey. I think, what is that old saying? If you're not a Democrat when you're young, you don't have a heart. And if you're not a conservative when you're older in your life, you don't have a brain. So my journey was such that it was the O.J. Simpson trial that absolutely changed my whole perspective on politics. Really? I've always considered myself a conservative Democrat. And what I realized, there's no such thing. Because I've always been pro-life. I'm a strong Christian, and I just knew morally that it's just, life matters.
Yeah.
It just really matters. And so I've always considered myself a conservative Democrat. And then my husband's family is all Republican. And so we'd have these amazing debates, and but I just was like leaning more towards, the softer side of things. And I realized on the O.J. Simpson trial, it was toxic. I mean, the way that they twisted. Look, I think the reason why I was a Democrat was because I do believe that it's important that we have equality under the law, not equity. There's a huge difference. Equality under the law. And so it was really important to me that, that the Black community was treated fairly under the law. That women were treated fairly under the law. I mean, I think every human being, and that's what our founding fathers were about. It didn't matter if you were rich or poor, that you still deserved justice, equal justice under the law.
That's true.
And what I noticed there is that there was this twisting, because to me, and I loved O.J. Simpson. Oh my God, a huge football fan, grew up with him. I didn't want to believe that he was capable of something like that.
Yeah.
And I watched the trial like I think many people did. And I just watched the twisting of the truth, and eventually I think it all kind of came out later because, even though he was acquitted, I think his behaviors, his things, it followed him.
Exactly.
So I called up all my family members and said, that's it. I'm a Republican.
Well, what I like what you're saying is you're all about policies. You're not just saying Democrat, Republican, you're about policies.
Yeah.
And that's what Nikki and I are too when it comes to us, choosing our candidates. Right, Nikki?
Yeah, you can't vote on someone from their, their race or
even
their gender, Is it that, we need a Black president. We need this. No, we need someone who's going to be good for the job and eligible.
Yeah, and it's about policies too. It's not about let's see, let's just go down Republican. No, you want to make sure that person who's running his policies is what you stand for and what you want, and the changes you want for your state, the changes you want for your country. And I'm sorry, but I say this over and over. We need to get our state back. We need to get our country back. It's going in a direction that's not good for anyone.
No.
I'm not saying it's the Democrats doing it, the Republicans, but there's people doing it.
And I think that was the thing that was so upsetting during the Trump presidency was there were so many good things that he did for the minority community.
He did.
I mean, he had opportunity zones, which were things that even myself, my husband and I are retired, and we were looking at investments and things, because we have to live off, whatever we've got.
Yeah.
And opportunity zones were something that was on the table, where you would invest in communities, that were underserved, and that was good for everyone. It was a win for everyone, but that wasn't talked about. The fact that he basically funded all the Black colleges.
I know.
The fact that we got rid of the 3 strikes, these were amazing things for the minority community, and it's just passed over.
Yep.
It's crazy.
Uh-huh.
But getting back to the Second Amendment,
Yes.
so my journey, as I said, I went from a Democrat to a conservative, and being a Democrat, I always believed that it was important to bear arms.
See, I'm glad you're saying that.
But I personally didn't feel competent.
Okay.
I personally was afraid of firearms. I didn't grow up around them. I've grown up in California. It just wasn't something that was part of my life. My brother-in-law is a retired Ventura County sheriff. So, and my father was military.
Okay.
And my process was, well, if you're a police officer, a Leo, or if you're a military person, of course, have firearms. I think my concern about firearms were, why would you give a gun to someone like me? That maybe I'm not competent. And I think that the reality is my hesitancy is because I am responsible.
Yes.
I think that's what it really was about. And my middle son was accepted to a Federal Service Academy, to the United States Merchant Marine Academy. And in that lesser known academy, but is one of the 5, you can become a commissioned officer in any branch of the military. And it really struck me, when you send your son to an academy and then he has an obligation to serve, there's in the back of your mind, like any mom, like any parent, you're thinking, he might have to be called into duty and possibly, lose his life for his country. And that's just something you just have to wrestle with and accept.
Yeah.
And at that moment, I realized, wow, I'm using him as kind of my advocate per se, in the sense that I'm substituting him for my role, in a sense that, I'm looking at him to defend me and this country, but I'm not prepared to defend myself. Mm-hmm. And that really struck me, because I thought I would die for my son.
Yeah.
And then I'm sending him off to be kind of like my surrogate. And I'm thinking to myself, my founding fathers gave me that right in the Second Amendment. And it wasn't just about, let's get real, it wasn't about hunting.
Of course not.
This was about defending yourself against tyranny.
Exactly.
And be able to protect yourself and your family.
See, I love it. This is what I love hearing. I love hearing someone like you, once a Democrat, always never owned a gun, thought it was not right for you, but you always supported the Second Amendment because you knew how important that was to our country.
Absolutely.
This is the stories I like hearing. Granted, I grew up with firearms. I grew up shooting, hunting with my family, went through all the safety. That was a way of life. So I was always involved in firearms and the Second Amendment. But it's nice to hear from the other side that didn't grow up that way, mm-hmm. and didn't experience that as through their family, and was once a Democrat. Mm-hmm. But you do know the importance of that, and this is where I think even our school systems are failing. We're not teaching our kids the importance of our amendments. We're not teaching our kids the importance of our Constitution or our country.
There definitely is a civics black hole, because
100%.
I feel like my children didn't get the same education that I got.
Exactly.
And I was the first of a generation to have what they call AP classes, advanced placement courses. And so, and I did have liberal instructors. I mean, I look back now and go, oh yeah. I mean, I had a teacher that took me to like a no nuke rally. But this is when Reagan was president, and he was going to blow up the world, and the arms race. And there was a lot of that going on. And I remember after graduating from high school and being in college and going to the Reagan Library for one of the first times, after it opened, and really going through the Reagan Library and going through all the different displays and that they have there. And I thought to myself, he was right. He was right.
Yeah.
The reality is you have to be prepared so that you don't,
Exactly.
so that you don't have to, do the inevitable. The point is that you want to be prepared.
That's true.
And so that was really interesting to see that this, anyway, I feel like the civics is really sorely lacking in this next generation. I mean, it wasn't that long ago that we had the Berlin Wall.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean, isn't that crazy?
I know.
You think that it was like 100 years ago.
Yeah.
And it was in the 80s, that we were looking at the wall coming down.
Yep. Yeah.
And we used to talk about communism. We used to talk about socialism and how toxic and bad it is. And now it's like this generation doesn't even know what that is.
Nope. It's scary how little they do know
in such a short period of time.
And again, it's not that they're stupid or anything like that.
No.
It's just they're uneducated.
Well, they just don't know.
No.
And maybe, I mean, I don't consider myself a baby boomer. I'm more like Generation X, I guess. What is that? Generation X is the last one?
I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, but anyway, I don't know that maybe we did a good job explaining this to our children.
Yeah.
I think maybe if we had done a better job of explaining what communism is, what Marxism is. And I don't know if they're reading. I mean, I had to study Marx, the Marx and Engels and different types of governmental things and tyranny and, Vietnam and all of it. And it doesn't seem like that has been the focus. It's like socialism and Marxism is perfectly okay.
I know.
And that's why we need guns, unfortunately.
I know that's true, but in a safe way.
Absolutely.
That's what the show Open Arms is all about how important safety training is before you bring that firearm home. So we're really strong on that.
Yeah.
Okay, so June, where are you doing any campaigning out there? Or is that can people come see you somewhere? What do you got going on?
So I live in Moore Park.
Okay.
I just love my community.
Very nice.
And right now, and I grew up in Simi. So my history is, I grew up there, went to high school there. I was Miss Simi Valley. That's kind of old news. Miss Ventura County. And I settled in Moore Park with my husband to raise our family. And it's a great community. And one thing I've noticed is that Moore Park is not represented on the Republican Central Committee at all. There's a large contingent in District 4 from Simi Valley, but Moore Park has no voice there. And the fact that we have Janice Parvin in District 4, who's our supervisor for the Board of Supervisors, comes out of the city of Moore Park. She was our mayor. So who I supported and has done a great job as mayor for Moore Park and is doing a fabulous job as a supervisorial board member. But so that's why, I would like a seat at the table because I think Moore Park deserves a voice, in the conservative community and on that central committee.
Okay, then where can people find you to support you and read
So
about
I do
you?
have a Facebook page.
Okay.
You can go on Facebook. You can go to June Dubreuil for Central Committee.
Okay.
So if you go to my Facebook page, you can find me on Ventura County Republican Assembly, which is the CRA. My information is on that website as well.
Beautiful.
I'm the vice president for the Ventura County Republican Assembly, which is different from the Central Committee. It's actually a separate organization that I work with, and I'm their VP for Moore Park.
Oh, very nice.
So.
And Nikki, you're going to post all this stuff too, right?
Yeah, all your websites and Facebook will be on the description box below. I'll leave all the links.
Awesome. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll definitely, show people where they can find you, where they can know more about you, and again, follow your campaign. And again, primaries are coming up. Are you excited?
I am. It's interesting. I mean, I'm going to be door knocking. You might see me in your neighborhood in Moore Park. I have had some real great volunteers out in the neighborhoods helping me. And, we only really talk to Republicans because only Republicans can vote for me.
Yeah.
So, it's easy. And I tell my volunteers, they should be friendlies, and if you can't engage, that's fine. But if you can engage, please do. And I said, you never know, you might actually make a friend.
There you go.
And I've made lots of friends, personal, close friends, just from, going out in the community and talking about who I am and the party.
Well, June, thank you very much for everything you brought to the table today. And I encourage everybody to seriously research her. Go to her website, read about her, try to find where she's campaigning, go see her in person. You learn more about them. And again, from just talking to her today, I love it. I love everything you stand for. I love where you came from. It is just fantastic things.
Brian, you're amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm just in awe of what you've accomplished here in the studio and what you're doing for the conservative movement. You're such a blessing.
Thank you, June.
And the fact that you just invited me here was just, I can't even say it. I'm very grateful.
Well,
so thank you for giving me the opportunity to be on your show.
Thank you very much. And again, we like bringing good people in there, right, Nikki?
Oh, yeah, we always have a good time.
It is. It's just fabulous. And the event we went to the other night, Sunday, did you get up and sing?
I did toward the end, and that was only because my friends made me. But I did give some money to candidates. I think a lot of the candidates did well that night.
I think it was fabulous. I think it was a good
And
event.
we're talking about karaoke with the candidates that was held at the Arena Bar and Grill in Simi Valley, and it was on last Sunday night, and it was just a really fun event. And I hope, and we're going to do it again. We're going to do it again.
That was a fun time, fun night.
Yeah.
Nikki and I had a blast there.
Good.
That's for sure. Well, June, again, thank you very much for coming on the show. We are going to be watching you get elected this round. I know I feel good things for you. you seem like the right person for the job.
Well, from your mouth to God's ears, so we'll see what happens.
There you go.
All right.
All right, and Nikki, you're going to definitely post all of her information, correct?
Everything will be below.
Okay,
Great.
very good. And Nikki, where can they find us?
You can find Open Arms on Instagram at openarms.tv. And if you have any questions about today's show, you can send us a tweet over on Twitter. We're at openarmsdt. And again, everything's listed below. That was a fun show.
It was.
Yeah, it was great.
Thank you very much, Gina. Do appreciate that.
Thank you, Brian.
And that's our show for today. And always remember, safety, family, and the Second Amendment. Have a good day.